A career milestone for a veteran this weekend, and I'll just blow right by it. Andrew McCutchen reaching 2,000 hits. I know 2,000 isn't 3,000, which is a magic number for Hall of Fame induction, but as I think it through, Andrew McCutchen is a good Hall of Fame candidate. He's 36, having a good year, but let's pause for a moment and give Andrew McCutchen some Cooperstown justice. Andrew McCutchen at present has a career WAR of 48. 50 is the low bar to pass for Hall of Fame consideration. 60 WAR makes you a strong candidate. But it's not about your totals, right? It's how you get there. For a 3-year stretch, McCutchen was a 300, 400, 500, all-around superstar center fielder. 2012 to 2014, he hit 320 with a 405 on base, slugging 534. He was a 7-win player on average. A 7-win player is a superstar. Look at those numbers. They're eye-popping. One of those years on our Top 10 Right Now series, he supplanted Mike Trout at #1 in center field. When he was Mike Trout, beat Mike Trout straight up. For a 4-year stretch, again, you can go 3, you can go 4. I'm going to go 4 years here. McCutchen was the best player in the National League. Here are the WAR leaders in the National League in that span. Good players. It's McCutchen, Buster Posey, Paul Goldschmidt, Joey Votto. Only Mike Trout had a higher WAR overall in the majors. He was in the American League, but McCutchen was #1 in the NL. McCutchen was an excellent player in his first 7 years, by the way. It's not like he wasn't good. He averaged 5.5 WAR for those 7 years. He's actually been a good player over the last 8, right? The last couple of years. So he has this longevity. But in the middle of all that, there's a 3 or 4 year stretch of true greatness where he was the best player in his league. And there are fewer of those players than you think. I'll get back to that. McCutchen also, at his peak, had a lot of ways to beat you. Think it through. The defensive metrics didn't like him most years, but in his prime, he was a good center fielder, had good speed, was a stellar base runner. He hit for average, he drew his walks, he hit for power. He topped off at 31 homers one year. He was a force. Now, I've been doing Hall of Fame analysis for decades now. I've evolved through the years from looking at the totals to looking at the year to year. I've evolved to liking a player who is truly great, but perhaps for a shorter period of time, over a player who's very good over a long period of time. There are peak Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame right now. Sandy Koufax, Dizzy Dean, great players. I know what you're saying. Best player in his league for 4 years. There's tons of guys like that. Actually, no, there isn't. Take a look. Dale Murphy, Don Mattingly, Buster Posey, Andrew McCutchen. For pitchers, Johan Santana, Oral Hershiser, Bucky Walters from the 1940s. I know you're thinking, what about Dwight Gooden, Pete Reiser from the old days, the old Brooklyn Dodgers? Those guys didn't have a great 3 to 4 years on top. There's really only a handful. And I want you to just look at this list and think about what strikes you if you're a baseball fan. If you're watching them, or if you just know your history, or you saw Johan recently, were these guys good or were these guys great? These guys were great. They all played a long time, but they had that 4 to 6 year peak that was truly dominant. These careers, these players were truly special. Here are more recent peak Hall of Fame candidates. How about 6 years? And we'll run the numbers. 6 years isn't a flash in the pan. Dale Murphy, Don Mattingly were the best hitters in their leagues for those 6 years. I'm not just throwing that out there. I can back it up, John Heyman. Posey was a great hitter and catcher, 3-time World Series champion. McCutchen's numbers for 6 years, right in line with the other 3. His average WAR is the highest of the group. The OPS plus is right between Mattingly and Murphy. Again, Mattingly and Murphy were the best hitters in their leagues for a long stretch. #1 both leagues, and he's right there with them. These are great players. I'm just saying, evolve in your thinking. Think peak Hall of Fame.